how would you describe the mental state of today's college kid about their success? And I'm using success in broad general
It's improving. I've been doing this long enough. It's weird. I know it's very unconservative to have any optimistic statements,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but it is improving. It's different than it was when I started speaking on campuses 7 or 8 years ago.
Contrast it for us, then versus now.
The kids are smarter now than they were 7, 8 years ago. They're better informed than they were 7 or 8 years ago. Now, this is damning with faint praise to some degree because 7 or 8 years ago, things were kind of at a low point. I think they're more thoughtful now. I think they're a little bit better behaved now. You get less of the screeching and the screaming. The Palestine war has kicked that off a little bit. You do get the kefias and the rabble and the violence, but it's compared to the widespread insanity that was on campuses 7, 8 years ago. It's relatively contained, and the schools are taking some steps to stop it. Otherwise, the kids it's kind of like a spell has broken. And I tie that into the political story. The New York Times, which I hate to quote, had a story out a week ago. 1,433 counties in the United States are triple trend for Republicans. In other words, they have moved to the right consistently in each of the last 3 elections. Now, Trump won 16, Biden, we were told, won 2020, and Trump won 2024. Nevertheless, these are counties that even in the 2020 election moved to the right. 1,433, that's about half the counties in the country. 57 counties are triple trend Democrat. So we're talking about longer than just one election, longer than just one candidate. Data points here. Half the country is clearly moving to the right. Barely any of the country is moving to the left. It is as if a spell has broken. You can't do that with just, we're talking counties that cut across all demographics.
Yeah, that's a fascinating piece of data, which, by the way, I've not heard anywhere.
It's amazing. I mean, I hate to give the New York Times credit, but they did the work on pulling that out. What does that mean? That is reflected at the lower level. That is reflected with young people, because young people have moved more to the right than many groups, which means that they're no longer locked in this, kind of stupid stalemate that we had been in for some years. They're now considering new questions. They seem to like the way the country is moving, in as much as you can in a country as fractured as ours. They're moving on. They've settled that basic stuff, and now they're thinking, okay, well then what does that mean for me? Not only my view of the political order, but what I should do in my career, what I could possibly do in my career and in my spiritual life. This is the key part to me, because I really hate the culture that we have of college kids just only thinking about money. You need to think about money. It's good to have enough money. It's good to pay your bills, and you need to get a job and all the rest of it. But your life is really not about that. And we had, certainly from the new atheists in the early 2000s up through almost the present, we had this intentional neglecting of the spiritual life. That period is over. The new atheism is deader than disco. And now we have kids who are taking very seriously spiritual matters. You're seeing a lot of conversions to Christianity, a disproportionate number of conversions to Catholicism, and to some degree Eastern Orthodoxy. You're seeing people take the ultimate questions much more seriously. And you want to talk about what's conducive to our happiness. I mean, ultimately, that is what will conduce to your happiness. We have natural happiness in this world, and it points toward a supernatural happiness, which is the only thing we can hope for, because we humans have this strange fact about ourselves, which is we're bodies in part, but we're also spirit, and so our intellect is an immaterial substance, and it points to immaterial realities. So if your aim is purely material, you're always going to be disappointed. Kids are talking about that now. They're thinking about that now. This, to me, is the most hopeful sign.
It really is. And to put a bow on that, there's no question that if you look at how the Greeks and many of the Stoics, some didn't believe in God, where they missed it. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that this is a journey on this earth. And if you believe in eternal life, then happiness can really be experienced as this journey towards the virtue to be as Christ-like as possible on the journey. And therein lies the issue where people don't get it.
Even this, I was wondering why the return not only to Christianity, which is a sacramental religion, but to an incarnational faith at least.
A lot of orthodoxy. Young men are flocking
Orthodoxy and orthodoxy lowercase o among the Protestant denominations, orthodoxy capital O with a move toward Eastern Orthodoxy, and Catholicism, probably the most prominent among them in these conversions. Why? And I think the answer is we have just been through a very intense Gnostic period where we were told the body means nothing. We were obviously told that by the transgender ideology when they said your body doesn't have anything to do with who you are, though incoherently, they would also then say your body matters so much you got to chop it up and do whatever. But they obviously have a bit of a screw loose. There was a Gnostic idea there. There's a Gnostic idea to the internet that my true self, doesn't need my body. I can be a virtual avatar of myself, or that there's somehow a disjunct between what I do, my moral behavior on the internet versus my moral behavior in real life. Real life, but hold on, you're the same person.
There's been so much moral relativism.
Moral relativism and a denial of the importance of the body.
That's right.
And I think this is why the sacramental view of Christianity is on the rise again, is people, especially after COVID, where we weren't allowed to even touch each other or see each other or be in the same room as each other. People realize we're bodies. We're bodies. The body really matters. Tertullian, great early Christian writer, says, the flesh is the hinge of salvation. Christ is not just an idea floating in outer space. He's a person who is incarnate in a time and space in a political entity called the Roman Empire. And he really dies. And he really is resurrected, and he really broils fish on the beach for his friends when he's resurrected. So I think there's an attraction to the reality that we're not just ideas floating in outer space. We're real incarnate things. And any religion that's going to speak to us has to be incarnational.